prime thing is you have to win.
Ill intent, violence, physicality, pain. Enough is enough.
All right, welcome back to the Just Win podcast. We are once again live after the game. We go live after every game, win or loss. Unfortunately, this was a very bad loss in which they lost to the Denver Broncos in Denver, 34-18. That's Vic Tafer. That's Tashan Reed. They are at the game, or were at the game. I'm streaming to you guys from the Bay Area. So what's the mood like in the locker room after that loss?
Oh, good.
Good? Good vibe there?
It's not. It's what's the word that was Deshaun? Shell shocked. I like shell shocked. Shell shocked sounds good. I think just after the whole week with Davante Adams, the trade rumors, and they hope they could kind of turn the corner. Clearly, they did not. 31 points straight the Broncos scored in that game. Bad loss to. I don't think the Broncos are very good, so I think it's a bad loss to a bad team. You're 2-3 now, last place in the AFC West, and a lot of questions about what's going to happen the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that I think they just thought there was no way they would lose to the Broncos, but I don't think they envisioned themselves being capable of losing 34-18. And really, the game wasn't as close even as that final score indicates. It was out of hand for quite some time there, and really ugly loss. And it's really just this roller coaster ride that they're stuck on. We've talked about it. Beating the Ravens in week 2, you thought they had a breakthrough, and they come and lay a stinker against the Panthers. Then they bounce back against the Browns, and then they lay another stinker. And it's every time you think this team might be turning the corner and making some progress, they take 2 steps back. And I know that the Broncos have won 3 straight, and so it's not like the Raiders are the only team they beat in the league. It's not quite. I wouldn't compare it equally to the Panthers' loss, but it's still a bad one. Even with Davante not playing and numerous guys being injured, this is pretty inexcusable performance from in this one, and definitely raises some questions about where the team is headed from here.
Yeah, and this was a game where the Raiders came out hot. I mean, they started with a big touchdown pass to Brock Bowers, where Gardner Minshew just basically threw up a YOLO ball to Brock Bowers, and he made a nice contested catch and ran the rest away. What was it, like a 50-yard touchdown? To start the game, and then they get a field goal, and then it's 10-3. They're driving the ball. They get into the red zone. It looks like they're going to go up 17-3, and you would think in a game like this, 17-3 is it's pretty close to locking it. And then you get Gardner Minshew rolling on a bootleg to the left. Brock Bowers looks like he's wide open underneath. If he just gets the ball to him, he at least gets stopped at the 2-yard line. If not, walk into the end zone. But he overthrows the ball. Patrick Surtain picks it off, returns it to the house, and makes it a 10-10 game. And then they eventually get to a point where the Broncos are kicking a field goal before halftime. They missed a field goal. They get a penalty for leverage. They get the field goal. Then they go into halftime losing 13-10, and things just snowballed from them in the second half. You guys want to talk a little bit about what you guys think happened in the second half?
Well, let's go back to Gardner. I mean, even the first touchdown pass you mentioned wasn't a good, well-thrown ball. I mean, obviously it could have been picked off, and Bowers made a nice play on it, but it wasn't like a great-looking touchdown pass. I just think we've talked about it all year long. He's had trouble seeing it, for some reason, seeing the field this year. He's seemed like he's missing guys. He's been more inaccurate than I recall him being in the past. I mean, and it never was a strength of his, but I don't recall being as bad as it's been this year as far as missing guys. And he missed Bowers by a lot on that interception. And so I think, clearly it was all downhill from there. I think, I don't know if he ever lost confidence, but there clearly wasn't a guy who was making positive plays. He was making negative plays. And I think at some point, Antonio Pierce pulled the plug. And again, I've been arguing that he should keep his job, but today I was clearly saying it was time for Aiden O'Connell. And I'm not sure it makes a difference. I don't think Aiden played very well when he came in, but you got to try something, and that's really the only real card they have left to play. I mean, they lost Davante Adams. They have more entries on defense now with Christian Wilkins being out. So this is kind of the last one you have to play is the quarterback change. I'm not sure it's going to really be a huge spark, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think it was really a meltdown on both ends. I felt like they played a decent first half. Even after that pick six, the defense was playing decently well. I mean, they only gave up 6 points on their end in the first half, and things start to turn, kind of towards the end once Christian Wilkins got injured. It's not exactly clear like how he got injured. He had a foot injury. Some people, it seems like he might have gotten hurt after he was celebrating his sack. It looked like Adam Butler jumped on him, but he did play 2 snaps after that. But he was ruled out for the rest of the game, and so we don't have an update on his status as of now. Antonio Pierce didn't say anything after the game. Probably won't say anything tomorrow. So probably, most likely it's going to take a couple of days before we hear more about him. But the defense just sort of crumbled from there. I mean, like you mentioned, Ted, that penalty gave them another free go at the field goal right before halftime. The tackling just became awful in the second half. Overall, on both ends, they committed a ton of penalties. I think it was 11 penalties in this one, and that was something that they had been amongst one of the better teams in the league in terms of avoiding those. But coverage breakdowns. Bo Nix started to make some plays. They run the ball well. Situational football was poor. It was just everything that bad that could have happened essentially. And as you mentioned, even after they benched Gardner Minshew, I mean, they were only down 10 points at that point. So theoretically, you still could have mounted a comeback. I mean, we've seen them do that a couple times already this year. But Aiden O'Connell really wasn't any better. That first drive, they got behind the sticks. DJ Glaze got called for holding, and that kind of killed that drive. But on the second one, I mean, he had Brock Bowers open. It wasn't like he was wide open, but he did have leverage, I thought, on Pat Surtain. And O'Connell just threw it too high, and it allowed Surtain to deflect it and pick it off. And that was pretty much it after that. And so both quarterbacks struggled. The defense didn't play well. You can even Antonio Pierce, he had that 1 4th and 2 in the first half from Broncos territory where they punted the ball instead of trying to go forward or kick a field goal. So really in all facets, coaching, offense, defense, special teams, this wasn't a good game for the Raiders, and that's how you get this kind of result.
Yeah, and to me, watching from TV, it just seemed like Gardner didn't like. I know you said you weren't sure if Gardner lost his confidence or whatnot, but it just looked like things were snowballing on him. Like the last interception he threw before he got benched, I thought Trey Tucker had a step, and he just severely underthrew that ball that ended up getting picked off. So I mean, it was more so just like you got to get him out of it, get him out of the game so he could kind of collect himself, type of moment. And I think it's probably the right decision. I mean, at this point, you got to see what you have in Aiden O'Connell, and he didn't really have a week of practice coming into this game. And also,
Well, we'll say on the quarterback note, we'll see who starts next week. I mean, Antonio Pierce was asked about it after the game. He was kind of non-committal on, whether it's going to be Minshew or O'Connell. And I would have, knowing how he operates, he's probably going to hold on to that decision till the end of this week. I don't think it's necessarily guaranteed that O'Connell starts against the Steelers because, again, he didn't play. It's not like he came in and started playing well. I know they had that garbage time touchdown, but he looked about the same as Minshew did, in my opinion. Both of them talked after the game, and dejected spirits because they lost, but I think both guys kind of know what it is. We talked about it coming into this year. They both figured they were probably going to play at some point. And so, even if O'Connell does go out there and start against the Steelers, if he plays like shit, he might get yanked, just like Minshew got yanked. So I don't think there's going to be any firm quarterback decisions anytime soon, just based on how these guys look.
And both guys, I think the offensive line's not doing them any favors. They're still not playing very well, and both in pass pro and the running game. I think the running game again today, I had some spurts here and there. I think Dula had like a 40-yard run, but Madison in his first start didn't do much. And when I needed it early on, it wasn't really there. So I just think it's a really, I mean, we talked about it at the press box. It was a tough offense to watch with Davante Adams, and now without him, it's you can understand it's even tougher. So, I mean, Troy Myers made some plays today, but is he really number one guy? I don't know. Trey Tucker is probably a good role player. I'm not sure you can ask him to be more than that. I mean, he's a couple plays today. His size kind of hurt him on some plays on the outside. So I mean, he is what he is. So I just don't know what the hope is for this offense. And then we thought going into the season the defense would help them out and kind of save the day and kind of be there for them when they needed a pickup. But they've had a lot of injuries on defense. They missed a lot of those guys today, and even like we keep talking about, Divine Diablo wasn't a great player when he was here, but he's missed. I mean, you see again today some plays wide open in the middle of the field where The rookie Eichenberg's a rookie, but still in the wrong place and not able to close the gaps when he had to. Just it all adds up, and I think guys that you were counting on for like Jack Jones not been much of a factor this year. We thought training camp he'd be like a number one cornerback who was making interceptions and kind of a spark. He's not been really a factor, which is Ja'Cory Ben's been your best cornerback, and he's fine, but I don't know if that really was the plan going in.
Yeah, when we were talking about training camp, we were questioning, is the secondary that good or are these quarterbacks that bad? I think we kind of have an answer now. These quarterbacks aren't great, and the defense has been struggling. The secondary has been struggling a little bit. But I will say in the second half, the pass rush was non-existent. I rewatched the game, and man, Bo Nix had forever back there, and I think Max Crosby is what, I don't know, like 80%. He's still dealing with a high ankle sprain, and losing Christian Wilkins is obviously huge. I mean, he's the Robin to Max Crosby's Batman, and Tyree Wilson's been playing better, but he's still at this point more of a secondary rusher. He's not the guy that can really, you can't really rest your entire pass rush on him. And if Max Crosby's not 100% with no Wilkins in there, it's going to be a struggle. This defense was supposed to be built around this defensive line and the pass rush, and they've had multiple injuries to this defensive line, and it's hard for any team to withstand.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they can't catch a break. I mean, between losing Malcolm Kuntz for the year before the season started, to Crosby having that high ankle sprain, Wilkins, he was on his way to having his best game as a Raider, I thought. I mean, he had 5 tackles, a sack, I believe 2 tackles for loss in the first half before he got hurt. And he gets hurt, and we'll see, like that foot injury. We don't really know the nature of it or the extent of it to see if he's going to miss time moving forward, but it's tough. I mean, they have a pretty top-heavy defensive line, I guess we would say. Like, we were always a little bit questionable about, like, their defensive end depth, the defensive tackle depth, like, how good is it? And we're seeing that now, I mean, they lost a few key pieces, and it's really hurting them, I would say, on all 3 levels of the defense. We talked about Diablo being out, but also Marcus Epps and the role that he played on that back end. It's a huge loss as well. So, they're always going to say next man up, no excuses, but the Raiders aren't a deep football team. We already knew that, and they can't withstand these types of injuries, and that's why we're seeing them play the type of football that they are now.
Yeah, I mean, do you guys have any clue about Christian Wilkins' injury or the severity of it? Because, like you said, he was playing really amazing football the last 3 weeks, and coming into this game, and losing his presence inside, it's just devastating for this defense.
No, we asked Pierce, and he didn't have any updates. But you got to figure, like you say, he's playing so well. At that point, it's still a very winnable game. From the missed second half, I would think was not a good sign.
Yeah, that's rough. And as far as the coaching goes, I didn't think Getsy called a terrible game, but that 3rd and 5 before halftime where they ran the ball, and when you run the ball on 3rd and 5, the assumption is you're getting ready to go for it on 4th down, and they end up punting the ball. It's just like,
I can't imagine that's how Getsy, though. I think that's probably Antonio's decision.
yeah,
Again, he's had
I
some
think so
of those
too.
in the past where you kind of question what the thinking is. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And we say he's learning on the job, which he is. He's admitted as much himself, but with the whole business decisions thing a couple weeks ago. But clearly, the time management and some of those kind of punt versus field goal versus going for decisions are not really. You're not seeing improvement quite yet, so I think it's still a work in progress. But that was a really weird sequence. I agree, and again, at that point, those were huge things. That was a huge play, and the Janarius Robinson penalty was a huge penalty because it gave him the free 3 points. And in the end, it didn't matter much because the score got out of hand. But at the time, those are huge swings of 3 points, where those could be huge, and that you thought would be a close defensive battle.
Yeah, I mean, clearly they don't have faith in this offense. Like, that's the only reason why you consistently do things like that. Just look at the difference between how the Broncos called the game early. I mean, their offense has been just as bad, if not worse, than the Raiders' offense this year. And their first drive of the game, they go for it on, I believe it was 4th down in their own territory. I think both me and Vic kind of look at each other. What the fuck are they doing?
On their own 32,
Yeah.
32-yard
Yeah.
line, first possession of the game. Which I mean, again, well, whatever, it worked.
Yeah, but it breeds confidence in your guys, and they end up punting later that drive. Didn't get any points out of it anyway. But that kind of stuff matters, I think, and they can't keep calling the game scared, essentially, which is what that is, and expect to win. They're just not good enough. Like the defense, they thought it was going to be great this year, and good enough, and the run game was going to be good enough to where they didn't really need much from the pass game. But with all these injuries on defense, like, you can't keep holding them to that same expectation. Like they're going to wear down and break down over time, and quicker than they would have if they were at full strength. And so, at some point, you got to kind of let it loose out there and go for it.
Yeah. It's early yet, but I'm sure at some point we'll have a deep dive on the whole roster construction, some things choices they made, like that getting the offensive line better, giving Gardner $15 million guaranteed when you had a guy in McConnell who may be a little bit worse, but it's close. So I'm not sure it's the money that comes with an upgrade. And I just think there are clearly some spots in the roster that could have really addressed, and they didn't. And now we see kind of the result. They can't run the ball, which is it's a big deal for Antonio Pierce especially. And how it obviously hurts the quarterbacks when they're trying to do play action and get some separation with guys coming open. So I think we've got a long way to go before we start breaking down the roster, what went wrong. But you can definitely see now there's some reasons for looking back and kind of questioning what was done.
Yeah, I mean, this team still doesn't have an identity, and we're into week 5, right?
Well, the identity was you're going to run the ball and you're going to do play action, put the ball to your 2 tight ends. That was our offense. Our defense we're going to rush the quarterback like crazy, and everybody else will make plays because of that. That was and both those things happened.
That was the hypothetical identity that that thing got tossed out the window real quick in the first game.
Right. But I'm saying that's what they thought it was, and what it is now is a team holding on for dear life because they have a lot of injuries and they have no real answers on offense.
Yeah, and actually last year this team, by I forgot which metric it was actually one of the luckiest teams as far as dealing with the injuries. So you kind of had an idea that luck was probably going to flip this year. I don't know what else they could have done to add a ton of depth. I mean, it always hurts when you're getting hit in the same position group, over and over again. It's hard for any team to survive. So we'll see what happens with Wilkins, and Crosby's still clearly pretty effective, even though he's not 100%, and he'll get better as the weeks go. But they're going to be playing Pittsburgh, who is a pretty good team coming up, and obviously they're going to need Wilkins in the middle, and they're going to need Crosby to play a little bit better.
Yeah, these last 5 games supposed to be the easiest part of their schedule. So, 2 and 3 is definitely not what they had in mind.
Yeah, and we can't again, this team is not good enough to count wins against anybody. So
right.
It really doesn't matter whether the schedule looks soft or whatever. Clearly does not matter. So, bad times for the Raiders right now.
Yeah. That's why we stopped using the word winnable. We don't use the word winnable anymore.
It's still a usable word. Should we get to is there more to break down, or should we get to questions?
All right, let's get to questions.
I do think you mentioned the run game because on paper when you look at the stats, it seems like they had a decent rushing game. I mean, 115 yards, average 4.6 yards per carry, but a lot of that came on Amir Abdullah randomly having a 40-yard run, but the rest of it was pretty ugly. A lot of people have been asking for Alexander Madison to get more volume, and he got more volume and turned into 15 carries for 38 yards, so it didn't really go that well. So I know we've been really hard on Zamir White, who didn't play this game due to a groin injury, and he hasn't been really, he hasn't been effective in that lead back role. But I mean, Madison wasn't either, and so I think that points to the sign that it's clear that it's mostly about blocking issues up front. They just aren't creating many lanes for guys to run through. Madison knows the system. He's played in a wide zone based system his entire career with the Minnesota Vikings, and still wasn't any good running today. So. Again, they had that long Abdullah run, but outside of that, it was pretty much nothing going for the ground game.
Yeah, I mean, without Davante Adams and real options at quarterback, I mean, they kind of have no choice but to build this thing around the run game, and it's unfortunately one of the most inefficient run games in the league. So they just have to hope that they do get better. I mean, Colton Miller, I thought, played his best game today. He's continuing to get healthy. I think Jackson Powers Johnson looks like the real deal at guard. So that left side's pretty fun to watch. But and Parham's been pretty good, but other than that, they just need a lot more from the center and right tackle position. DJ Glaze is still a rookie, so maybe if Thayer Munford comes back, he can give him a little bit of boost in the run game. Michael Mayer's been out for personal reasons, so if they could run the game better, maybe they could kind of put together this 12 personnel package again and hope it's effective. So um, we'll see what happens with that. But let's get into questions. I want to give a shout out to Michael Lee Miser for being the first member who signed up. You could, if you want to sign up and become a member of this channel, you could sign up and look at the different tiers we have. And hey, Michael Lee Miser joined on a date like today. I mean, that's a grit right there. That's character. That shows character. So
he gets an autograph photo of you, Ted. That's what he gets as a member. What does he get?
Yeah, he gets an autograph photo of me.
Nice.
He gets a recorded Vic song sent to him, and I don't know what he gets from Sean. Sean needs a signature embarrassing thing on this.
Cooking tip,
cooking tip. Oh, you get a well done steak from. You get a well done steak shipped from you, from Tashan.
All
right. Michael's question. Let's start with Michael's question, since he is a member now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much does Mark Davis care?
I'll say 10. I think he had a rough day today, man. He is here watching this mess, and on the TV, I'm sure in his box he had the Aces on. They got eliminated from the playoffs, so he had a rough day today. And I'm sure, I mean, he's very proud about this team, and he loves having star players. I'm sure the whole thing where Davante wants out is not really sitting well with him, and I'm sure at this point he's like, fine, if he doesn't want to be here, let's move him. But I'm sure it's still a little frustrating, and I never question his desire to win. I question his methods, obviously, and he's made some mistakes. He'll tell you himself he's made a lot of mistakes, but I don't question how much he wants to win.
Yeah, I think people. I don't know why people have that perception of Mark Davis that he doesn't care. I guess because he moved a franchise to Las Vegas for money or something like that. But he's definitely upset with the state of things.
I mean, he cares so much. He was willing to scrap all the Raider stuff and go with the New England Patriots system. That's how desperate he was. Like, hey, man, we tried everything else. It hasn't worked. I'm going to bring in Josh McDaniels and David Ziegler. I'm going to run this Patriots mold, and that's how badly I want to win. And that didn't work. So clearly, he's trying to whatever he can. And, we'll see what Antonio Pierce, but he thought was the right move, and we'll see if it was.
And he hired Josh
paid over
season.
What's that?
Yeah, but say paid like $60 million last season to fire a couple guys. So I think he cares, guys.
Yeah, but I mean, he just has not made the right moves in terms of putting people in charge. And I guess the jury's still out on Tom Telesco. Brock Bowers looks like a hit. So, but I mean, that's kind of an obvious draft pick. But moving on, Johnny B asks, when are we going to see a big-time QB or linebacker to change this franchise?
Linebacker? What?
Linebackers don't change franchises, my friend.
What is it, 1975?
Yeah.
You guys are laughing at questions, man. You guys are suffering. Raider fans, you're laughing at them.
I was just saying, man. You got a top 10 linebacker right now, Robert Spillane.
Yeah,
Robert Spillane. Yeah, he's not been playing great lately, but still making plays.
Yeah. As far as the quarterback, I mean, you have to hope it's next year. You have to hope they finally find a way to get one in the draft next year. They tried this year, but couldn't do it. Clearly, Jane Daniels would have been incredible, but he wasn't available. So that's where we're at with Gardner and Aiden. But I think, if it's whoever it is in the draft next year, they have to take a shot and get someone, or whenever their first pick is.
Yeah, and I mean, it's, we've talked about it, the Davante Adams trades. I think that could help them, get some more ammo to potentially pull that off. I guess that's something we didn't talk about at the start of the show, but obviously he didn't play today. Second straight game he's missed due to a hamstring injury. And, after he requested a trade on Monday. Diana Rossini reported over the weekend that, obviously the Jets and the Saints are teams that are in the mix, but that the Steelers have also, made an offer for Davante Adams, and the Bills and Chiefs are sort of monitoring things. And so We'll see how things transpire early this week.
I saw what Jake Laser
See,
said. The Ravens are out, so if people have a list going, I think the Ravens are for some reason they're out. But
yeah,
and who knows? Somebody else might jump in. You never know. But expect something gets done fairly soon. I think the Raiders want to move on. I'm sure whoever wants him as soon as possible. I think he'd be probably healthy enough to play this week. So we'll see what happens with that on that front.
Yeah, we have a long way to
closure,
go.
man. Everyone wants closure.
Yeah, we have a long way to go to see where the Raiders are going to draft. Obviously, if they start tanking and maybe not on purpose, but if they start tanking, then they'll have a better chance at the quarterback. But the more games you win, if you get around that 500 area like they usually do, it's just hard to pull that off. I mean, it's doable. We've definitely seen teams move up pretty far to draft a quarterback, but just becomes harder if you're around 500, which the Raiders have been the last few years or so. All right,
yeah. I
next
mean,
question.
looking at Tankathon, they currently have the 10th overall pick, so maybe that'll be good
Yeah,
enough. Maybe not.
10th?
Don't
Yeah,
don't
10th can
don't
pull it off.
don't tell Max you want to tank. That's all. Keep it a secret.
All right, keep that a secret. Why did he say something in the locker room about tanking? Or
No, last year I think I
No, it's
suggested.
just sarcasm.
I suggested last year, and he told me to shut the fuck up. So, but he's very competitive. He wants to win. He obviously he practices what he preaches. He's always going full bore and works 24/7. He wants to win, and anybody like that doesn't want to hear about losing on purpose. So, I respect that. But sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture and maybe. It's worked for some teams in pro sports tanking, so maybe it's not the worst option.
yeah, and in case you missed it, he reaffirmed his commitment to the Raiders today in the locker room. He doesn't want to be traded no matter what Davante Adams
I don't know
says or no matter what the rumor
who the fuck
says.
said that.
He has the Raiders symbol tatted on him. He's going nowhere.
He's got a lot of tattoos, though, right? He's got hard tattoos, so that's a lot of. But again, yeah, I believe him. He wants to be here. He wants to. I mean, he's like Mark Davis. I'm sure he's frustrated, but he wants to win, and we'll see. At some point, that's not possible.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Bernie Romero: does Davante's value increase as season continues, and what is a fair exchange picks?
Well,
I don't know if his value will increase unless we start seeing more receiver injuries. I mean, I think it's pretty high right now, but he's an aging receiver, and he has a contract situation. He has a hamstring situation, and I think most people are comparing him to Stephon Diggs trade, and Diggs got traded for what, a 4th-round pick?
4th-round pick, yeah.
Yeah, so I think
It was
that's
the
what the
third,
league is
wasn't it?
looking at him like, even though the Raiders want a
Oh,
second round pick.
Well, Keenan Allen was a 4th-round pick. Maybe Diggs was a third. Maybe
I think Diggs was the third. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
Keenan Allen was
Okay.
a 4th. But I will say the only reason I would say yes, maybe where it might increase is because I think teams right now it's week 5. I don't know if week 5 you're really going to make a big desperate move, and I think you want to wait and see what you have. And I think so. I would think if teams are waiting and the Raiders can somehow wait, you might have teams more eager to make a jump and say, week 7 or week 8 because they know, hey, now we know we need this guy, and now it's. Whereas now, like you might have some guys on your injured list or some depth charts, and you think maybe we can survive that without getting him. But clearly, he's a great player. Everyone knows that. So it's all about need and how badly you want him. The Raiders want a 2nd-round pick. Is that really viable for some teams? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the team. Like the Jets, I think things are starting to heat up over there. I mean, losing in London today to the Vikings and the way that they did, with Aaron Rodgers throwing 3 picks. That staff, like the head coach and the GM both, like if they don't win this year, they're getting fired. I mean, I feel like that's the most desperate team that's in the mix for Davante Adams, and for them, like the more they keep losing, I think the higher that price tag probably gets if you're the Raiders, right? I mean, if they start to get really desperate for him. So
Two
of the
first-round
team,
picks.
well, I don't know about all that, but yeah, I think a fair value. Like I think 2nd round makes sense. Like I think Davante Adams is like a tier above a Stephon Diggs type of guy. I know he is getting older, but I mean, last time I saw him, he still looks like Davante Adams to me. His contract is also pretty flexible. No guaranteed money after this year. Um, I think a second round pick is fair value, and that's what the Raiders are asking for. I don't know about the second round pick and qualifier that they have. Like, well, I don't know about all that shit. Like, it might be and a seventh round pick or something, but I think a second round pick, if you get that for Davante, that's a win, all things considered.
Yeah, I also think the Jets would be an ideal team to trade him to because there is the potential for everything to fall out with the Jets, and then you end up getting a pretty nice first second round pick from the situation too. So there's that. I mean, like, you don't want him to get traded with the Chiefs. I mean, that's almost a guaranteed, bottom of the second round pick. But you trade him to the Jets, and the
Yeah.
Jets, maybe they're overestimating their ability as a team altogether, and maybe they just tank the rest of the season. I mean, not tank on purpose, but maybe they just kind of lay an egg the rest of the season. They're just not a very good team, and I don't know if Davante really changes that. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I do a roundtable with the Athletic every week where we talk about multiple things from around the league, and we talked about the Davante Adams trade, and Jets fans are so like down on their team. They're just like, forget about this season. We can't give up future assets for Davante Adams. The whole thing's a lost cause, anyways.
At some point, you keep giving Aaron Rodgers everything he wants. Somebody got to be like, look, that's enough. We're done giving you whatever you want. It's not working. So you're a miserable guy who's not playing well. You want more stuff from us? No. At some point, I'm like, you know what? If you're going to fire me, fire me. But I can't keep giving this guy what he wants and watching games like today where he throws 55 times or it was. And really, I mean, I don't know. He's not what he was. I mean, maybe Davante can spark something where he's back, but clearly they're chasing something I'm not sure is attainable.
They sold their soul to the devil already. All right, there's no going back. There's no going back. You gotta give it.
You double down.
Yes, you just double down. You sold your soul.
I mean, the other option is get fired. So, like, what the fuck else are they gonna do? Like, you might as well. Like, the owner, if Woody Allen says you can do it,
but you get fired giving double birds to Aaron Rodgers. You get fired giving him birds. Like, hey, screw you, Aaron Rodgers. I'm getting fired, but I don't care.
Fuck that.
You're all getting fired. Double birds for everybody.
Question for Raider Dan. This should be quick. There's no way they go with the Chiefs, right? I can't believe how many times it's being said. I would say there's a 1% chance, maybe 2% chance, but it's highly unlikely unless the Chiefs put like an insane offer on the table, which I don't think they're going to do.
We were asked about Mark Davis. He's not trying to get involved in this thing, but I have to imagine if they came to him, hey, man, we're going to trade Davante to the Chiefs, he'd be like, get the fuck out of here. But again, so 1% to me sounds like you never want to say zero, but I really can't imagine that would, I mean, to the team you're chasing, they're going to give them a guy who makes them even harder to catch, unless you really fully acknowledge that you're going to do a huge rebuilding process. You're not going to be in contention for a long time. Doesn't matter what the Chiefs do, but that would be something I'm not sure you can really admit, especially when you have guys like Max around. So never say never, but I would say lowercase never.
Would you do it if they offered a first-round pick?
Yeah, like they're not going to do that, but like let's just whatever the offer is. Let's say that their offer is just far and away the best offer on the table. I think it would be
like significantly better too. Like, it can't just be like a little better.
Let's say they offer it, I don't know, a second and a third or something. Like, I think it's kind of stupid to turn that down just because they're in the because like the thing is like the Raiders aren't competing this year. Like they aren't competing for the AFC West. They aren't stopping the Chiefs from doing shit. Like, you're not going to beat them this year anyway. They're already going to kick your ass, most likely. We'll see. They haven't played yet, but most likely they're going to kick their ass. Okay, like, get some draft picks and, like, go get you a quarterback next year, man. Like, for me, it's like, the Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs. Like, you're not trading them Davante Adams. Like, oh, wow, we're really going to catch them now this year. Like, no, you're not. So for me, if it's like, but it would have to be, like, far and away, like, by far, like, clearly the best offer on the table. Like, it can't even be remotely close to whatever the second offer is.
Yeah, think about it. What Davante has a good year or two before you see a major decline. So you might as well take the Chiefs draft picks and give them a depreciating asset.
stretch him to AFC team. I want him in the NFC if I'm the Raiders. But again, beggars can't be choosers. But I mean, you can make a case where even the Jets, if you're competing for a playoff spot, you're helping them and hurting your chances. So
What are you
again,
talking about? Playoffs?
I'm not. I'm just saying.
Playoffs?
I'm talking theoretically. I'm not talking just kind of like in. I mean, at 2-3, however down you are about today's game, you're still, if you're Antonio Pierce, Tom Telesco, you're still thinking maybe playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of teams in them, but whatever. I'm not going down that road. But I would just say send to NFC and then wish him a nice life.
All right, next question from GL Raider. I'm guessing that stands for Good Luck Raiders. I don't know. Are there any reasons to continue to watch Raider games?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers.
I mean,
Like what?
Brock Bowers. Max Crosby.
it's fine. Just if you lower your expectations, it's fine.
If you're at a home game, all the AC/DC, it's kind of cool. You hear that, you kind of get fired up. What else? The color scheme was nice. The uniform was the best in the league.
Brock Bowers is cool.
Brock Bowers is cool.
Yeah.
Max Crosby is cool. It's fun to watch when he's
go.
healthy.
We've said those names 4 times now.
That's all we got, man.
No, but in all seriousness, I think, like the developing of the young guys, like they do have some guys on the roster. Brock Bowers. I think Ja'Cory Bennett's playing really well right now. Max Crosby. So they have a few guys that have some potential moving forward. And even if this team doesn't compete this season, which most likely it's not going to, like there's still some things that they can build upon moving forward if they identify a few gems on the roster. So that would be a reason.
But they have a bunch of guys who were in the last year of their contracts that they didn't extend for whatever reason. What if you trade those guys for like late draft round picks? Maybe you just sell the whole every guy in last year's deal.
Name them.
Just tank.
Well, not in so many words, but yeah, maybe you make some trades and start stockpiling draft picks or late draft picks.
Like who?
I don't think that's a reason to watch the games, guys. Like I don't think that makes the games more watchable. Yeah, they traded all the best players for draft picks.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I was going.
What the fuck is that?
I'm not sure where I was going with that one. I'm still. That's a good point. I'm still suffering from my
son, that guy. He's on the last year of his contract. We're gonna trade him. Just watch that guy.
I had a point there somewhere. I'm not sure where I went there.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long weekend, man. That Cal game last night sent me back. Took years off my life. So.
All right, Ras Selton Salon, or sorry, I'm mispronouncing your name, but
Come on, man. It's Ras Salon. Let's go, Teddy.
Ras Salon asks, so expect to lose, Ted? No, I didn't say expect to lose. I'm just saying have low expectations. Like, don't expect anything. Don't expect a win. Don't expect a loss. Just watch. Just be present.
Man, we do one of those things where you can X the guy off, like cross his face off, and it makes a really bad point. We want to Neil work on that, like a little black him off.
Just take it one play at a time. Just take it one play at a time.
Oh my God, one play at a time.
Yeah.
God,
no expectations.
All the cliches. Jesus Christ.
All right. Trip asks, is AOC going to start next week? Would you bet on it? All right, let's put odds on it.
I don't know how odds work. I'm just gonna answer the question. I'll say yes. I'll go with yes.
Right,
I think
1 out of 10. How good do you feel about it?
I would say like a 7. I think they're kind of pulling straws a little bit on offense, trying to find something to give a spark. And I think, even though he didn't play well after he came in today, sudden change is a little bit different situation than if you have a full week of practice and your game plan, and then you're going to be the guy. So, I think giving O'Connell a shot against the Steelers is a tough defense. But seeing if he's able to put up some better tape than Minshew, because I think he's been really struggling since that Panthers game. He started out all right, I thought, to begin the season, but he's really tapered off here, and so. Theoretically, Aiden O'Connell, he's only in his second year. I know he's old as shit, but maybe he can still get better and continue improving. So I think AOC gets the nod next week.
No, he's old as shit, but maybe he can get better.
I mean, he's like 26. He's damn near my age, and he's the second-year player.
Damn near my age. I think it will be O'Connell. I don't really, just because, why not? I mean, there's no real reason to put Gardner back in there. I think that ship was kind of sailed. I mean, like I said, it was the easy part of the schedule. he has not done well. He has, I want to say 4 touchdown passes on the year and 5 picks in 5 games. So obviously Davante is a big loss, but still there's enough weapons in this team where she'll be able to score some points in the passing game. So maybe, like you've been saying, Ted, is Aiden's quicker delivery will help a little bit. But you saw it today, man. He's gonna have a hard time avoiding sacks, and today he should have had a safety that one play. And the Steelers are not the ideal team for him to go against. But again, at this point, why not? It's a home game.
Yeah.
Though it's gonna be a lot of Steelers fans there, but I don't see how you can go back to Gardner at this point. I don't know what that says. So I'll go with Aiden.
Yeah, and as I wrote about tonight, like I mean, just making a quarterback change doesn't mean that things are going to get better. I mean, this offensive line, they're okay. Run blocking, still not great. The pass protection, anytime that they have to, Minshew gets into trouble sometimes where he just holds the ball too damn long and runs into some sacks. But the offensive line also just hasn't been very good when it comes to holding up in pass protection, and that's limited the pass game. Of course, neither Jacoby Myers or Trey Tucker is Davante Adams. Michael Mayer's out due to personal reasons right now. Zamir White's banged up right now. So like Aiden O'Connell singularly is not going to make this offense suddenly be great. But so they need a few other things to. And Luke Getsy hasn't done the best job as a play caller so far, in my opinion. So they're going to need a few things to improve on offense for it to get better.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I mean, the hope. Let's try to build like a hopeful scenario here. Let's just say Colt Miller gets healthier. Jackson Powers Johnson, just keeps rogue rating. They're able to run the ball with more efficiency. Michael Mayer comes back. 12 personnel becomes a thing. And then they average, 22 points a game. That's Aiden O'Connell is just a little, his quick release helps to move the ball a little bit more efficiently. No more negative plays. I think that's the hope,
shit.
right? That's the hope. But I would say 9 out of 10. He probably starts next week. I mean, it's just the way Gardner looked. He does not look like he really needs a reset. Like he needs to just sit down and reset.
Reset. What is resetting doing?
What's that gonna do? Reset.
I don't know. I mean, like, yeah.
Sit down and count that 15 million.
I mean, not even I expect him to look as bad as he looked today. He's definitely just like in his own head right now. Like it's gone. All right, last question. Could Russ, assuming he means Russ Wilson, be sent over from the Steelers for Tay and cash? I would not want Russell Wilson.
I mean, he's better than the quarterbacks they got.
He might be starting, right? If the Steelers lose tonight, wouldn't he have a chance to be back in the lineup next week for the Steelers? I don't think Justin Fields won that job going away.
Yeah. I think I guess if you're getting Davante Adams, that might change the math a little bit for you. But I guess it would depend how sure the Steelers are about Justin Fields moving forward. I think he's been solid so far this season. Like he has been great. Like he's not like you said, he's not like a surefire lock for the job the rest of the year. But in theory, like to me, if I'm the Raiders, like I think that's a solid trade. If you get that wouldn't change the pick that they'd be looking for. Like if you get a second and Russell Wilson or a third and Russell Wilson, like why not?
Well,
I know Russell Wilson gets a lot of shit for last year, but I think he was better than Minshew.
The point is you're trying to build for the future. Russell Wilson is not helping you build for the future.
He's on a 1-year deal. What does that change about their future?
If I get a pick instead of Russell Wilson, I take.
No, you're getting him and a pick. It says
but I'm saying if you get a second, if you had an option to get a second and Russell Wilson or a second and another pick, I'd take the pick. Like Russell Wilson's not helping you.
So would you take a second and a 6th rounder over Russell Wilson?
Yes.
A second round pick. That's stupid.
What's his contract? I mean,
he's on a minimal deal.
He's not helping you.
But that's stupid. He's better than both their quarterbacks. So you're going to decline an upgraded quarterback for a 6th round pick.
I don't even know if he can function in his offense. I mean, like
he was better than both of them last year. What do you mean?
He's going to come in the middle of the year, learn a new playbook with a bad calf. And we already saw his decline last year when his mobility is gone. Like he is not helping the situation.
I think he's better than Gardner Minshew today.
I apologize to Raider fans listening to a Russell Wilson debate after a horrible loss
listen,
to the Broncos.
We didn't start it. All right, it was a fan question.
Emotional damage.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're gonna trade for a quarterback, trade for a guy who's younger, right? Trade for a guy who has some upside. I would think, like Hendon Hooker, or I don't know who else is even available, but somebody like that.
We have Tyson Bagent. He knows the Luke Getsy offense.
Yeah, I don't. That's not a big plus to me. Knowing the Luke Getsy offense is not like a selling point at this point. I gotta tell you. But
Tyler
Tyson Bagent. Well, his dad's cool. Isn't his dad the big arm wrestling champion? That guy's a stud.
Yeah, that's good content right there. Like we get a video of you, one of you guys, or both of you guys, arm wrestling. Tyson Bagent's dad or something. That's a content machine right there.
All right, Tyson Bagent for like a 5th round pick. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Luke Getsy, man. It's his guy.
All right, guys. Well, that's gonna wrap up today's show.
I hope it gave you some reasons for hope. I hope it gave you some reasons for optimism. Hope you guys are looking forward to the next podcast in the home game.
But thank you for joining us. I mean, it was a tough loss. So, I appreciate you guys logging on with us and talking through this therapy session. But hey, you know what? The Raiders have done this in the past. They could follow up a bad loss with an amazing win against the Steelers next week. And then everybody's back in the bandwagon. So, we'll see. But anyways, we'll get back to it on Friday. We'll preview the games, so make sure you look for that on YouTube, subscribe, and like on Apple or wherever you guys get your podcasts. All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right,
Joe. Peace.
Adios. Hasta la vista.